Well, good afternoon, all. Today, I would start my opening remarks with a heartfelt thanks to the leaders from Security Advisory Wing, which is SAW, and Business Resilience Council, which is the BRC, for uniting the experts and sharing knowledge of a very critical aspect in today's environment. Today's session is about understanding and learning things in business resilience as well as a security risk. And to deliver this, I would like to introduce Major Manish Kar from Loss Prevention, who is the Loss Prevention Manager in ITC Limited, ITC Hotels, and Captain Anu Sharma from ACG World. Well, first I would request Major Manish Sharma to take over the session. And before that, I must tell that Major Manish Sharma, retired, has a wealth of diverse experience ranging from military leadership, IT projects management, real estate strategic, project management, and security functions spanning over 21 years. Well, MBA and marketing honors during his military leadership days. He has earned for himself a diploma in weapons technology and led a Bofors battery in high altitude region of Kashmir and the deserts of Rajasthan. He has also served the infantry during his tenure on deputation and led a company of Assam Rifles in the northeast. Well, he started his corporate career as an IT project manager, where he developed and delivered mission critical software solutions for international clients. Later, moved to real estate sector as strategic project manager, asking to a mini COA, handling land acquisition, product mix, product designing, government approvals, legal issues, sales and marketing, stakeholders, management, execution, and product delivery of real estate projects. In his current role as the loss prevention manager with ITC Limited, ITC Maratha, he has been instrumental in enhancing the security levels at the hotel with implementation of strategic security projects over the past 5 years. Well, he was also nominated for Sikona Shield Award for Security Professional of the Year 2019. Well, he has recently been featured in Netrika Coffee Table Book 2021, The Titans of Security Industry. A people's person with excellent people and interpersonal skills, clubbed with his passion for technology and has enabled him to achieve his deliverables in multidisciplinary functions. If you happen to meet him in a person, you should definitely ask him his personal background, which is as diverse as his professional sketch. But that's a pretty interesting introduction, Major Manish Kar. I would please request you to take it over from here. Thank you so
much. Thank you, Mr. Luthra, for a detailed introduction. I'll start off with a presentation. Is the slide visible? Is the screen visible, please?
Not yet.
Is it visible now, please?
Yes, it is. It is now.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Luthra. Today I'll cover the topic on upcoming trends in physical security. I'll cover the session in three broad parameters: the evolution of physical security, current and future trends, and technology versus return on investment. In order to understand the evolution of physical security, we need to go back to the animal age, where animals and even dinosaurs would have had the need of physical security. They would mark their territories through their scent and then subsequently defended through physical fights. Then was the advent of the ancient humans, who initially started living in caves, made dwelling units for themselves to protect themselves from weather, animals, other creatures. And subsequently, they started developing fences, and the human human being evolved from there to start staying in villages, cities, and kingdoms. They would have their own territorial security, which they would guard by constructing walls, forts, and deploying guards of their armies. Post that came in the time of the Industrial Revolution, which had a need to secure their industrial establishment. Subsequently, this need would evolve into protecting the organization from losses and then espionage. Came year 2000, and we had the dot-com boom, which brought in the cybersecurity aspect. Now, we are not discussing the cybersecurity aspect in this session, but it is an important aspect which came into play after the dot-com boom. This period also brought in the element of corporate security and developed the corporate security function to where we see and we are part of it today. The corporate security function also had a need of security technology so that it could protect the establishments. To summarize, historically, physical security was brought in. Physical security was taken care by guards, the guarding industry. The guards then came into the industrial requirements. The IT security came into play with the dot-com boom, and the corporate security got in the security technology evolution. Security technology I'll cover in 4 broad parameters. One is the access control, the video surveillance, the perimeter security, and the biometrics. Access control system has 5 basic components. One is the authentication, authorization, access, management of the access control, and the audit. We all understand that once the access control device is reading the access control system, it authenticates the person trying to gain access to the facility. It authorizes the person and gives access. The management and audit part is taken care of by the admin, who takes care of the managing of the access control system and the auditing of the person accessing the facilities. The access control system is one of the oldest or the initial systems that we have seen in the security function. One of the oldest access control system which came in, which we have used in the past, is the access card readers. Then came in the turnstiles, the flap barriers, the door sensors, the pin pads, and other devices. Now, turnstiles, flap barriers, door sensors, these were devices which facilitated control of tailgating and managed movement of smooth movement of through the facilities. We then have this video surveillance technology. Now, video surveillance, video monitoring is seen to have been developed in 1927 in Russia and was deployed in Moscow Kremlin to monitor approaching visitors. Initially, it had only the live view capabilities, and there was no recording facility available. Then came in the reels to record. Now, these reels were those large reels which were time-consuming, cumbersome. They were expensive to manage. Subsequently, in 1942, the first closed-circuit CCTV camera was seen to have been deployed by Germany to monitor the rocket launch of Germany. In 1970s came in the VCRs, or the video cassette recordings. Now, these video cassette recorders or the VCRs made recording a little more easier in terms of storage and recording. There was also a feasibility of doing an overwriting on these tapes, which initially was a little difficult on the reels, which started off for the recording features. In the 1990s came the multiplexing technology, which facilitated the recording of multiple cameras at one point of time. The next generation of the video surveillance technology developed into the DVRs and the IP cameras with storage servers, which we see today and we are using, most of us are using. The video surveillance today requires physical manning in order to take necessary action and decision. We do have the video analytics, which is in an evolving stage. However, we still have a long way to go into video analytics. The perimeter security, we have the gates, walls, and fencing, which are the most traditional and classic forms of perimeter security. Then we have the bollards and crash resistant barriers. Now, bollards and crash resistance barriers are the ones which have crash rated, which are crash rated and come with a K4, K8, and K12 rating. These crash ratings are based on the tonnage and the speed of a vehicle which is trying to get into or attack into the perimeter. Electric fencing is a technology which, when it was initially which was during the initial days, there were very high apprehensions about the kind of shock that a person would receive. There was a fear that a person may die, which organizations didn't want, and they wanted. So the solution was that the electric fencing does not give such a high life-threatening volt power current. It gives 120 milliampere of current, which just deters a person from entering or intruding into the facility. The intrusion detection system is working on a similar lines. It identifies and detects intruders and gives an alarm to the control center and initiates necessary action from the command center. The motion detectors and sensors are also are the ones which detect vibrations on the ground and give alarms to the command center to initiate necessary action. Now, these three technologies, the electric fencing, the intruder detection system, and the motion detectors and sensors, have a high probability, or currently they have a high probability of giving false alarms. These systems have over a period of time evolved. They are still evolving. The rate of false alarms has reduced. With the further development in the technology, we will see a further improvement in these systems. We then have the video analytics. Video analytics is a system which identifies predefined objects and sizes and gives a alarm to the command center that there is an intrusion which has happened into the perimeter. Whether to allow it or not, it again requires a human behind the system to identify and take decision under the current technology that we have. Biometrics. Now, biometrics has been identified to be the most secure since it is individual based. We understand in terms of the fingerprint biometrics, which is quite which is very individualistic. No two people in the world have similar fingerprints. These technologies biometrics is difficult to duplicate and replicate. It is convenient and cannot be lost or forgotten by anybody. So it is very easy to be managed, and it is highly efficient in terms of the logistics management or the administrative management of this biometric system. A few biometric systems that we have, we widely know these days is the fingerprint, the facial recognition, which is under the development stage, the iris scan, and the palm view. Now, iris scan and palm view, these are currently being used in only certain government departments of certain countries, and as and when these technologies develop, we may get to see them in the commercial side. The future trends in security, what we identify is drones and robots. Now, the drones and robots are something which we have already seen being utilized by militaries across the world. We have had in the past cases where drones have been used as an attack weapon by non-state elements. Robots, we have seen them being used by the military to diffuse bombs by the bomb disposal teams. Uh, these these two technologies in the commercial world or the corporate world, we will get an opportunity to see the developed versions in the coming times. One of the most common commercial available version that we got to learn and see during the pandemic was the robots in one of the Chinese COVID facility, where it would deliver food and supplies to the rooms of the COVID patients. And if we all remember seeing that video, uh, the implanted RFID devices again is what we have got to see on through a video, where this technology is still under development, where a device is injected onto the palm of an individual and it acts as an access control system. It can take care of certain security requirements. It can take care of in medical technology, in medical field also. It has the potential to diagnose a patient with certain elements. The artificial intelligence in physical security is what we have seen widely developed through video surveillance and analytics. Currently, the CCTV system or the video recording system is seen as a post-incident investigation. The video analytics are today available in the commercial market, where they are right now still in an evolution evolution mode, where they can identify certain defined objects and sizes and give an alert to the people in the control center. Now, there is a big debate amongst organizations and amongst the security function, whether to have guards versus technology. Now, both these setups come with their own pros and cons. Human intelligence is the key element in security technology, as we know. The technology itself is not so robust enough to take decisions. It helps the person behind these systems to take to analyze and take decisions. In the coming times, with the development of AI, we will get to see a change in this pattern. However, till then, we still have the human element, which we cannot remove from the current system. Technology it reduces its efficacy, and it's expensive. Technology will reduce manning, but it cannot eliminate manpower, and technology becomes redundant over time. Manpower has its own inherent challenges in terms of availability of capacity to work only on an 8 or 9 hour shift. Whereas a technology, a machine, it keeps on learning. So the moment we have the deep learning technology take over, it will work on its own in the coming times. Currently, the solution that we have is man and technology combined, that we can operate and function and take care of the security function. Organizational policies of an organization drive the security implementation. Now, when we say organizational policy, there are many large organizations who would feel that they do not need expensive technology being deployed. Basic manning, basic security apparatus like gates, boundary walls, and simple access control cards will be enough. Those organizations will go ahead and deploy only those kind of technologies. Now, there are organizations in the corporate sector which have defined that no, we will need bollards, we will need drones, we will need proper access control systems and artificial intelligence technology, artificial intelligence based technology being deployed at our organization, so that it takes care of the security function. The return on investment for these organizations is high in terms of investing these technologies. Security technology being expensive, it is not something which a small organization would prefer deploying if it is able to bear the losses rather than against the cost of implementing technology. So return on investment on technology versus manpower is what is going to be the main driving force in today's times. In today's times, I'm done with my presentation. I would request if there are any questions that we would have. Mr. Luthra?
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, please.
Okay. Yeah. So I believe, yes, we've got a couple of questions here to ask. So it is from Mr. Gujral, and he's asking that technology like artificial intelligence is used in every sector, including security. So what is the right mixture between technology and physical security?
See, as I said, it depends upon how the organization is. Now, in case where there is less manning, artificial intelligence can function better. It again depends on what kind of an installation that one has. If you happen to go to any five-star property, you will see that you don't need much of artificial intelligence there. It is primarily the main guarding which can take care of these requirements under the current situation. So it is highly dependent on the kind of business the organization is involved into, is what it'll boil down to.
Agree to a large extent here. But then in the current scenario, if we'll speak, then this is a very frequent question which we see, that how to secure the IT assets in corporate structure where laptops and accessories are allotted to most of the employees, and we know that the frisking is not allowed.
RFID tags is one of the answers that, or solutions that we have. These laptops, if they are RFID tagged and RFID sensors are deployed, it can take care of the IT assets in an IT organization or in any organization.
So is there any other? This is my follow-up question on that. So is there any other RFID? We all know that has been in existence for very long now, and it's a pretty secure way of doing it. But apart from that, is there anything which is in terms of the new technology or something which has come up? Because with the RFID, though it's there in the application, earlier it used to be a device that we have to carry all the time, but now it comes through the applications as well. Still, is there any other mechanism along with apart from this?
I don't have anything on my mind right now.
All right, no worries. So I think that's all we have in relation to the security prospect here. So thank you so much once again, Major Manish. So with that, we would like to come to our next session, which is on the resilience aspects of the business. And to do that, we will have Captain Anup Sharma, who is an ex-army officer, and he passed out of the prestigious Officers Training Academy from Chennai, and he has served the country for 5 years at Gwalior and it's Ahmednagar, Amritsar, in an armored unit having T-72 tanks. Well, Captain Anoop has done certificate program in management from IIM Lucknow, graduated from HR College, Mumbai, and also done his MBA from Sydenham Institute of Management Studies. He is currently working with ACG World into facilities and administration and has total 17 years of experience. He has also worked with JLL and metro train operations with Reliance Infra at Mumbai. Well, Captain Anoop interests are motivation speaking and has given talks in school, colleges, and corporate. Operates out of Mumbai and looking forward to engage audience pan India over online or in-person session of motivational talks to inspire and participants and drive motivation. I think this is all we needed from a speaker like Captain Anoop Sharma. So over to you, Captain. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Luthra, and good evening, team. First of all, thank you so much, Global Association for Corporate Services, for giving me this opportunity to speak to this audience about my experiences, my points on building up resilience, a practice or a practical approach for corporates. I'll just start off with a saying from Margaret Thatcher. She was one of the earlier PMs of United Kingdom. And she said, you may have to fight a battle more than once to win it. What it means that, life is a roller coaster ride and humans have always overcome adversity. So we must not let adversity break us. Adversity may be an obstacle or it may be a comma, but let it not become an obstacle or a full stop in our life. I am, mentioning all these things is to just relate to the topic of business continuity versus business resilience. And today, over the next 15, 20 minutes, we'll be focusing more on corporate business resilience, which is a one step ahead of what business continuity is. So if you can see on the slide here, the ISO standards define business continuity as capability of an organization to continue the delivery of products or services following a disruption. But when we talk about resilience, and with this VUCA world, so much of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, what is important for any corporate or for that matter, any individual, it is very, very important that how do you survive such disruptions and then prosper? So what does resilience in common sense or general terms mean? It means bounce back, right? So business continuity, we used to talk towards the start of 2000 and then subsequently towards 2010. But post 2010, following so much of, evolvement of the concept of VUCA, we have started focusing on business resilience. But first, let me just tell you what business continuity and their processes meant. Okay, so if you see the next slide, business continuity meant the following PDCA cycle. And I'm sure we are all aware of what the plan, do, check, and act cycle mean. So if you focus on plan, what was it? You assess the risk and what would be the likely business impact analysis. Thereafter, what you do is your action. You implement your controls. There's a lot of focus on training and awareness. And then while you are on your project plan, you will have your checks and balances. What does checks and balances mean? Is what you monitor and what you correctly report. There could be some deviations and what are the likely steps or course corrections which you make towards achieving your project plan. Thereafter, of course, is act. Act is a little extension of do, which means that there is continuous improvement. You would have achieved, say, a 75, 80, 85% level of efficiency. The organization will focus on whether you can enhance that efficiency or productivity levels to, say, a close to 90 or 95%, right? So business continuity meant PDCA cycle. But today, our focus will be on, okay. This slide talks about organization principles for effective resilience. Friends, please remember, these are broad frameworks or points which I am discussing, and there's a lot of material on the internet, our experiences. You would be hearing from corporate leaders also in your organizations. These are some of the points which I thought that could be useful in today's discussion. What are these 4 things, or the 4 principles for effective resilience? Is leadership, then culture, then we talk about governance and risk management and resource optimization. Now let's come on to the first point of leadership. When we talk about corporate resilience or business resilience, we all work in our organizations, and what matters is leadership. So when we talk about leadership and when we link it to resilience, what does it say? It says about agility is how you effectively respond or quickly adapt to a changing environment. We had 20 months of tumultuous times the world over with the pandemic, the COVID-19 virus infection. And I'm sure the way corporates have responded and bounced back from this setback is our agility. So when we talk about leadership, it is not only leadership from the C-suite level, but we as HODs, we as business partners are also part of our agile thinking, our quick adaptability. There's nothing cast in stone. You have to flow like a water. And please do remember that you get inspired by leaders, and then also focus on self, that how do you develop this agility in you? Then we focus about strategy. Now, we are currently into leadership roles. We'll also be taking on leadership roles. We see in our organizations, we see in our businesses, there are umpteen examples of corporate resilience, wherein strategy plays a very, very important role. And we'll discuss a few of those examples. We have to open up our mind towards strategic thinking, towards out of the box scenarios. We cannot be confined to a certain limiting beliefs of ourselves. And hence, what matters in any organization is your ability to effectively show these leadership skills. This will prove the resilience of what an organization or an individual is built up of. Then we talk about culture. What are the culture of the organization? The best organization or best example which comes at least in the Indian scenario is about Tata. We talk about what their culture is, what the vision or the visionary leadership which the organization has displayed. Vision is about long term. It is connected to your first point of leadership, your strategy. And what is mission? Mission is your day-to-day executioning of that vision or strategy. Then we talk about governance and risk management. It's very, very important. Now, what are governance models? I'm sure any department we work with, and specifically here we are talking about resilience or business continuity. What we talk about, certain norms, some laws, there is some transparency which it brings. There is an accountability. You have some control and direction towards the mechanism. It helps us in quick decision making. And what is risk management? Risk management is you have to identify the risk. You have to assess that risk. Of course, you have to review and then you control. You sit with the management. You see what are the challenges at hand. And then you have your mitigation measures towards it. Unless and until you have this governance and risk management framework in your organization, it's very, very effective tool, and hence very, very important for resilience, fight back, bouncing back. And fourth, last but not the least, is about resource optimization. We initially spoke about efficiency and productivities in the organization or our department. How do we optimally, utilize that resources? There'll be lot of money, lot of material, lot of resources, but how are we correctly utilizing? Are there efficiencies? If there are efficiencies, can those efficiencies be scaled up? All these are important criteria for organizations to effectively, develop that resilience model. Next slide, please. Okay. Famous examples. First, we'll take the Indian ones on corporate resilience. On the left-hand side, we start off with Airtel. Just remember the time in India when the telecom sector was at its peak. It was booming. You had Mr. Sunil Mittal, Bharti. Airtel have been telecom leaders for many, many, many years, and to maintain that pole position is very difficult. Sustaining that leadership position is indeed requires a lot of grit, a lot of determination. That is corporate resilience. You had Vodafone issues, you had Idea problems, then the merger of Vodafone and Idea. Then off late, you had Reliance getting into telecom with so much of, firepower, money power, and many other powers working behind it. But if you see the current scenario, we have three players. Airtel still giving very, very tough competition to Reliance Jio. We also have Vodafone Idea merger. But look at the Airtel story. I have taken these live corporate examples so that you can relate to what we are discussing. On the right-hand side, you have Tata Nano. We spoke about culture. We spoke about Tata leadership, their vision, mission, their strategy. But what happened to Tata Nano? We have the example of the left government in West Bengal not wanting that factory there. We had another state, Gujarat, inviting it with open hands. So there was a disruption. But then Tata took the opportunity, opened the factory in Gujarat. Mr. Ratan Tata had this vision of giving the common people a car at a very, very economical rate. But was Tata Nano successful? We are all aware what the story behind Tata Nano is. But if you see now, we have a lot of versions of Tata, like Hexa, Harrier, Nexon, which have proved their mettle in the market. Let's come on to the next slide. Let's talk about world examples of corporate resilience. Amazon, we all know that it's an e-commerce site. Its owner, Jeff Bezos, is one of the richest men in the universe. But didn't Amazon had failure stories? Yes, it has. It's Fire Stick, it's Wallet, many things which Amazon started off as not materialized as visualized by Jeff Bezos. But still we have Amazon as market leaders in e-commerce. So this is all world examples of corporate resilience. It's all about that capability, that ability to fight back from the VUCA world. We had COVID-19. Will it be the first and the only pandemic? No. Humanity has faced so many pandemics or catastrophes the world over. We have still survived. There'll be another catastrophe or natural disaster, or we have the current war looming in between Ukraine and Russia. There will be market challenges. But it is our ability as individuals or organizations to fight back. And the humanity and the world has always done it. Look at the right side example of Nokia. We all know the story of, if we compare the current, the screen phones of Samsung, Nokia did not have agility then. And now you see what's the market share of Nokia, once a market leader in that space. So hence, when we were talking about agility, strategy, adaptability, we'll also talk about technology in the next slide. All this is required for business leaders. Otherwise, you will not be able to, achieve or excel in your organization as an individual or as business leaders. We spoke about the principles. Let's also talk about resilience model. I have mentioned earlier also, there could be umpteen examples, but I have zeroed down to these 5. What are these resilience models? It is understanding the ecosystem. Now, which ecosystem are we talking about? The ecosystem is internal and external. You're working in an organization. What is your leadership? What is your vision, mission, culture? What is your risk or a governance model, right? What are the external stakeholders you are managing? Which industry are you in? Which sector are you in? Right? You have to understand the ecosystem of in what you are operating. You have to understand the framework. You have to devise methodologies. And how do you do that? You do that through the next 3-4 points mentioned below. First, the people. Let's have the correct team to execute our plan. You may have disruptions, you may have obstacles, you may have challenges, but if you have subject matter expertise, that is the right people doing the right job, you focus on training, you focus on development, you focus on diversity, inclusivity, you focus on people management. This is how you focus on people, thereby leading you to a good team and hence building up the resilience in your organization. Then very, very important is the process. Now, what is the process? It could be some way a subset of what we spoke about, the governance. What are the systems and processes in place in your organization? It's very, very important that you follow certain standard operating practices to execute and operate within that framework. So the processes are very, very important. We had the earlier discussion about security. There also we understood how the processes work. Similarly, in any industry you take, any corporate stories you take, processes are an integral part. It's a guideline, it's a framework or a guiding factor for you to follow. Then we spoke about technology. We took the example of Nokia. So here it's very, very important about using the AI, which is there, the IIoTs of the world. You have to understand that adaptability, that agility, that out of the box thinking. Focus on technology, focus on the development, focus on the ROI on such investments will help you build resilience in the organization. And of course, last, it's very, very important about managing information warfare. There is so much of data. How do you focus on data mining aspects? How do you focus on data analytics? We have so much of business models with Power BIs and all such stuff. This will help you to take, appropriate decisions. It will help the leader in us to effectively understand what the current scenario are. What is my plan A, plan B? What is the contingency we are working on? Whether we understand the complete holistic view of the current scenario, will we be able to swim across and not sink? Whether we'll be able to fly, right, and not fight? Whether we'll be able to convert this pain into possibility? So team, thank you so much. I'll end my session. We can discuss more on business resilience, the principles, the models, and there could be particular topics taken and we can go on and on, but here I'm open for any questions. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much, Captain Mook. I think the way you have explained it with the brilliant examples which have been given has actually started entirely rethinking of the aspects of how we are taking up the day-to-day challenges and the work environment. Really kind of giving a larger overview and the perspective there. I think there were a few questions I have, and so in fact we've got some questions for Major Manish as well, but I'll just touch upon one question. Uh, One second. Okay. This is this is again one of our member who wanted to understand that how practical it is to conduct a tabletop exercise to test business resilience when it has never experienced by team, like active shooting, but the risk is perceived as a potential risk.
So, if the organization, if you're planning to do a tabletop exercise, I think it's very much possible. I have been able to successfully conduct one in my organization every year. We are a 24-hour operating organization, if you understand how a hotel runs. And if it's possible in a operating 24-hour operating hotel, it's very much possible in a in any other organization. I hope I'm able to answer the question.
Yep, sure. And so there's one more for you, Major. So is there any solution for good theft, like small diamonds, which can't be found in metal detectors? Wow, I'm sure there must be someone from a company who's into a diamond production, or yes.
No, I remember interacting with one of my friends in the diamond industry, and their challenges are typically very different. A small packet of diamond from a diamond trader's pocket, if it falls down, the only way to detect it under the current technologies that we have is a visual monitoring of the CCTV footages. I guess we don't have the AI might come up with a solution on this, but it's still very far off is what I can anticipate. Now these traders come with small packets of small packets in which they have diamonds worth lakhs, which they carry and move. Now one of the packet, if it falls, the only way right now is visual monitoring. There's a lot of movement of people happening in those areas. So how it's practically not possible for the technology to right now identify.
Okay, so you're saying that there is no technology in place at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Major Manish, hi, I'm Sandeep. So I would like to ask one simple question. How do you think physical security and resilience are integrated?
I think we should ask this to both of them.
Yeah.
How should we do that? That is where both of your expertise.
Yeah.
I'll take a simple case of the current pandemic that we have gone through. In the initial months, there was an absolute lockdown, and none of the organizations were running. So most of the hotels, what they have done, they moved small teams into their properties, and they guarded their existing infrastructure with limited manning because there was no movement. So the manning had also reduced. Slowly, as and when businesses started increasing, people got in, more people were included. Now, this is what typically all organizations have gone through. Managing that situation, managing the pandemic situation has been a different learning for all of us. We had never thought of it. Maybe a few exercises were conducted, trainings were conducted, but it was not to that extent that an entire nation and the entire world will come to a standstill. So I guess the pandemic has been the best teacher for most of us to understand how we can bounce back.
Great. I think I would also request Captain Anoop also to share his views on from the resilience prospect.
Yeah, so I'll just continue where Major Manish started, and I think COVID-19 is a very apt example. I can say from my experience that past close to 22 months, of the pandemic, I'm a part of the pharma industry, and hence all our factories were operational. And since it was operational, we had our physical guarding at a very, very intense stage. We helped the operations team sustain the pandemic with all the typical measures. And if you talk about the physical guarding and of course the other aspects of it, they help the organization, do better business results, achieve a supply chain, and thus we integrate that physical security aspect with the aspect of resilience and bouncing back.
Great. As I said that, we usually start seeing questions coming in now, and I have few questions lined up with me. So looking at, in view of the current security situation between Russia versus Ukraine, how do we see the next 1 month going by? Captain Anu.
Okay. I have my own perspectives, and I'm sure there could be multiple ideas and inputs on the same. I understand that the talks have started or will begin sooner or later. War is not a solution. We have seen umpteen examples of Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, Iran. Even Russia, some reports say were only prepared for 4 days, and now if there is an extension, it could go bankrupt, and the strategy could backfire. So I think 30 days would be a long time to comment. But my immediate assessment of the situation says you have to come to the table for talks, arrive at a mutually acceptable, viable solution, which will help the world arrest all the casualties, and we do not want another catastrophe after COVID-19. So you have to have some mature leadership, and when we talk about resilience, let's have political maturity in dealing with such scenarios, is my assessment. And we should have some good result coming our way in the next 1 or 2 days.
So I understand that travel would probably be one of the challenges. However, but is there anything that a corporate should be geared up for any other challenges apart from travel, etc.?
One important aspect, is about the expat management. Many organizations would have their C-suite leadership from Ukraine, or they would have their employees, associates working in Russia. So maybe how do we manage their expatriation, their security, all that will show our capability to fight back from such adverse situations.
Right. So there is another question which says the wave 3 comes to an end, but do we expect some more viral challenges in times to come? I think I can also answer to it, but definitely, but there is something, because today only I just got this a notification from one of the RSS feeds that they saying that with the wave 4 largely to be expected in somewhere around in the month of April and between April and August. So not sure how true that information is. But yeah, definitely with wave 3 coming to an end, should we really look forward to some other challenges, any other vital challenges or kind of operational challenges that we see?
So the whole business of business resilience and security is to anticipate these events. We have already seen it in the last 2 years that a pandemic wave has come up. Some countries have seen 4 and 5 waves. We have seen the 3rd wave. We may have 1 or 2 waves more to see. So it's always better to be prepared on those lines. And as far as the Russia-Ukraine situation goes, I feel that unless and until we do, the organization or a country does not have a direct dealing with these two countries on any aspects, in terms of its expats being deployed there, or its own people being deployed there, or any business happening with the two countries, specifically Ukraine. It won't affect, except for the crude oil prices or crude oil. It won't affect other than the dependencies, is what my take is on these two aspects.
I think now these days, these waves are just like a rapid in a river rafting that we are trying and crossing over. So we are very hopeful that there is no more rapids coming in between now, which impacts. So I think these are the questions that I have. Unless Mr. Sandeep Dubel, if you have any questions, anything to ask. So Mr. Sandeep Singh Dubel is leading our Business Resilience Council program under the umbrella of GACS Association. And so thank you so much for joining, Mr. Dubel. Yes, please, if you have any questions, otherwise I would request you to please close with your remarks.
So this is my one last question, and this is one of my favorite questions to both of the leaders over here. How do you think we can strengthen resilience agenda in an organization and create the awareness that everybody is responsible for that?
Can I take that, Anup? Thank you. So my experience says that to strengthen resilience and to strengthen the organizational aspect on security, training is the only way out. Training and regular revisions of those is the only way out. I personally speaking, I have been able to do it once a year. I should be doing it at least twice. Maybe in the next year, I should put that target for myself. But other than training, other than regular sessions with the team, I don't see any way out. That's what we have seen in Army also. Training, train the people, and they will produce results when the time comes.
Indeed, sir, indeed.
Thank you.
Yes, and my take on your question is the PPT model. We spoke about it during my session, is people, process, and technology. People, yes, a right team for the right role, your SME expertise, training, development, DNI. Second, the process. It's a torch for you. It's a guiding principle. It's about governance. It is about risk management. And third is about technology. We have spoken a good amount of topic as far as IIoT, AI is concerned. So how do we capitalize on technology, understand the ROI which it could bring to the business on the table? I think this PPT model will help us in our resilience.
Excellent, sir. Excellent. Thanks for the insight. So to bring the session at the end, I would my vote of thanks to both of the leaders. It was an immense knowledgeable session, and I think so everybody over here has learned a lot. If I talk about Major Manish talking about physical security, its aspect and its importance in the current times and resilience, and the role of physical security during a training and exercise, as well as the support they have been providing during COVID, which was altogether a new incident for all of us across geographies. And then the details which Captain Anup has given us from the BCM perspective, PDCA, and it was, I would say his session was a PDCA where all of the topics were covered so swiftly, which were interrelated, and gave us a view that how the resilience as a whole works. And he has also given the background as well as the difference between erstwhile business continuity and new age business resilience. Appreciate their kind support in coming up on this forum and giving us such a valuable insight about their expertise. And I would like to thanks again. Jatin, over to you.
No, so thank you so much. for a wonderful remarks, Mr. Google. So yes, thank you once again. Thank you so much, Captain Mook Sharma and Major Manishkar. And we, as said, that we look forward to have more interactions digitally and physically once we will catch up. So thank you so much, and thank you so much to our audience. We come up with more programs under the umbrella of BRC and SAW. Thank you so much. Please take care of yourself. Be safe.
Thank you.